Joel is just so cute. I love Joel.
I'm a big Joel fan. Canada loves you. Your house guests love you. Did a great job.
It's okay to be a little weird because we all have our weird quirks and stuff. And
Joel is the best. Joel, you're the winner, and I will shout loudest. Don't you worry.
Joel's a really smart guy.
Let's hear it, please, for Joel.
What's up, everybody? Joel here with another edition of Random Thoughts. We're in week 5. Things are going fast and furious in the BBCAN6 House, but this podcast has been a little bit dusty of late. We've had some issues. I've decided, you know what? It's time to stop following along with the crowds. I need to do my own thing, and I've got a special guest today who's going to help put me in check so I'm not the sheep following everybody around. It is the gatecrasher, Veronica Doherty. Veronica, how's it going?
Amazing. You know, it'd be a little bit better if I was in the Big Brother house, but can't complain.
Well, you know what? A lot of people, I think, are really bummed that you were one of the people that went out in that double eviction because you were providing just a lot of good DR sessions. You were somebody who was not afraid to make a big move, not afraid to put yourself out there. But I'm curious, and this is going from the interview that you did after you got evicted in front of the studio audience. You explained to everybody there that, you know what, you're not a fan of the show. You barely seen any sort of Big Brother at all before walking into the house. So I'm curious, from your perspective, what was your motivation to want to do the show?
Honestly, my friend posted on my Facebook wall back in October when the auditions were a little bit more live, telling me that I should audition for this show, that it was perfect for me. I read the description about the social part, the competitive part, and it just screamed out to me. You know, super social, I have lots of friends, a huge following in Ottawa. You know, I play a lot of sports. I love, you know, I love competition. I love playing for a title. You know, I have 3 brothers, so I feel like I'm always super competitive in that way. But what really motivated me was to, you know, I love the idea of, you know, being on TV. You know, I love All Eyes on Me, you know, doing the things that I love to do, which is essentially playing, you know, sports, being competitive and stuff like that. So really, once I read it, I just knew that, I could win it. And that was really it. I read everything about it, and I knew that it was something that I would really, really strive in. And to be able to do it on national television in front of the whole world and sort of inspire people and motivate people, you know, with my craziness and, you know, my unique individuality. So I don't know, it made me want to do it.
What do you think it was? You mentioned your unique individuality. Obviously, though, you had a much tougher road than myself getting on my season, or any house guests, with the exception of maybe Allison on season 2 and, of course, Marin on your season. You had a very different road to get there. What was it like to feel like, okay, I think I'm here, I think I made it and stuff, and then realize, oh, well, there's still like another aspect of this, and it's me having to be popular enough to Canada to get voted in. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, it was insane because Big Brother is so secretive. There's so many twists. No one tells you anything. I actually didn't even believe that there was a vote in when, you know, the producers and everyone told me. I thought, yeah, right. I'm like, I for sure made it. This is just another reason or another way that they can lie to me so that I can't fully prepare myself to go into the show. So it wasn't even until about 30 minutes before I went on stage in the studio that I realized, holy shit, I'm really not on the show yet. There is really a chance that I might not even get in. So it was super nerve-wracking, but, you know, I know me, I know Canada, I knew that they would love me. You know what I mean? There's not, you know, I think that people really sort of can embrace, you know, crazy, wild, free spirit types of people and personalities. So it was super nerve-wracking, but I had a lot of hope, and, you know, I ended up being right, so.
Okay, I need to address, so you're voted into the house. Arissa tells you and Marin, you guys need to come up with a story. You cannot tell them that you were voted in. First off, how long did it actually take you and Marin to come up with a story, and why did you come up with a story about you guys getting picked out of the audience?
Okay, so we truly had about 5 minutes. Except I thought of that story right away. And maybe if we took a little bit more time, we would have thought of something way more easy and believable, because realistically, all we couldn't tell them was that Canada voted us in. So we could have said to the House guests, we were in the same position as you guys, except the only difference is, we thought we were going into the House and it was the first day today, and clearly we're a week late. So that could have been it. So then we wouldn't have thought of this whole super fan thing, this audience thing. But when you're given such a short amount of time, and it's very nerve-wracking, we just thought, we really thought it was a more believable story. But the reason that we sort of came up with that was that we had to think of a reason of how we ended up, we just thought being pulled out of the audience was the most believable reason, but it ended up being, a completely horrible lie. Marin is horrible at lying. He literally has nothing going on up there half the time. So really once I went into the House, I knew that I had to take the reins and talk, because I felt like if anyone talked to him for too long, they would realize it was bullshit, even though they did anyway. But
yeah, I honestly, from watching at home and from seeing a similar twist like this in Big Brother Canada 2, I was racking my brain, and I was asking some of my followers on Twitter and some of my people on Facebook about what is the best thing. And the only thing that I could think of, and it took me a while to rack my brain, was what else can you say that makes sense to the House except I don't know, I just walked in here and this is what it is. I honestly, there's really only one scenario that if I was a House guest that I would buy it, and that was it. So yeah.
And the thing is, we weren't told, we weren't thinking of oh shit, we're gonna have our bag that's full of a month's worth of clothes. We're going to have this, we're going to have that. So we didn't think of all, because obviously later that night when our bags came, they're thinking and everything is already, the labels are off everything. They have every single one of my makeups, my face washes. How else would anyone be able to pack that way? Even your mom or your closest friend couldn't get all of your items, so it was just silly. We could have thought of something way better, but it was super fun to do. But in 5 minutes, you really have no time.
So that aside, despite the fact that nobody bought your guys' total BS story, you guys seem to be able to, you and Marin, integrate yourself fairly well into the House. Do you think it was just because you guys had that 1 week of safety that people kind of forgot about you after that week, or was there something that you were able to do to make the target on yourselves a little bit smaller during that time?
Well, I think it was one of two things. I think firstly, being called out in front of Ryan was probably one of the best things that could have happened to us, because then it was telling them, we don't believe your lie. And I sort of responded with, trust me, if I could tell you I would, shut the hell up, House guest. So I put it on them if I say this out loud, we will all get punished. And because there's a lot of people in the House that know Big Brother, they sort of just left it at that, and they were like, oh, okay, maybe if Veronica slips the secret, maybe we'll get a prize or a reward. So I think that really shut them up and sort of allowed them to at least stop questioning me. And also, I knew that I'd be able to integrate myself in there well. I'm very outgoing. You know what I mean? I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I think that, if I was sort of, I think it took Marin a little bit less or a little bit more time, because he's a little bit more standoffish, a little bit more quiet. I forced myself into that House. I'm like, listen, you guys are going to know me. You guys are going to let me speak. You know what I mean? I don't care. I'm not changing for nobody. And I think people just naturally started to get to know me in that House and started to really like me. And I think that sort of helped get a target off my back, is they realized this isn't some newbie, schemy girl coming in. This is someone who we actually could get along with and who we can enjoy having in the House.
Did you guys think yourself and Marin, when you got voted in? Marin's a little bit of a bigger fan. Did you guys think at all? Because when I'm watching it, I'm thinking, okay, Big Brother is obviously, it's about how well you are with the House. But what's unique about Big Brother Canada is the fact that there is a lot of fan voting. There's a lot of twists, and we might see them later on down the road about fans voting in. On my season, we had fans vote for a head of household. We had fans vote people in as well. So do you think that the fact that you and Marin already had the situation where you guys had to get voted in by the public, do you think that gave you a bit of an advantage, that you knew a little bit more on how to sort of play to the cameras and play to Canada in addition to having to play to the House?
absolutely not. I didn't think of, I don't even know what the fans like because, like I said, I'm so new to the game. So, and if Big Brother Canada fans are crazy. Some of you want to be super schemy and lie and entertain. Some of you want to just be authentic and honest and real. So I never really thought of them in the house. I just hoped that they liked whatever I was giving them. So I don't think knowing Canada, voted me in the house really helped a lot. But, everyone thought I was going in the Angel. You know what I mean? I didn't even know I was going in an Angel. So everyone thought they voted in the Angel. And then, I ended up being one of the most, stirring the pot sort of persons and, a little bit more devilish and schemy. So I really had no clue what they liked. Didn't play to it at all. I just was myself in there and hoped that they liked whatever I was dishing out.
2 questions I need to get out of the way right now. I'm sure you've been asked these questions a million times already with all of your exit interviews, so I have to ask it and get it out of the way right now so we can move on. Question 1 is, during your birthday, we saw you show off some unbelievable moves. We've seen some pretty damn good twerking in the BBCAN house before. I have not seen anybody, this is coming from somebody who has no idea. They tried to teach me twerking for about 5 minutes and then gave up on me in my season. But how the hell could you, you were jumping up on a wall outside and hanging on the wall and twerking? Where do your twerk skills come from? Is it rugby? Is the rugby?
Honestly, I've always sort of, had this, a little bit of this, R&B, hip-hop, gangsta style, you see me in my braids up in there, and I just, I don't know, I think it was just something, to me, I don't think it's as hard as people make it seem, you know what I mean?
Can you show me? Because I'm a lost cause. Like I said, people gave up on me in 2 minutes.
I could show you for sure. You know what I mean? There's so many little steps that you can do in terms of twerking. It's really just about having anything on your body that's able to jiggle, whether it's legs, bum, whatever. It could be a small bum. Some girls I've seen barely even have a bum and they can twerk. But honestly, no clue where those, just from being drunk probably. Drunk and trying to shake your butt, and it ended up with that, so...
Okay. What if your bum is pure bone like mine? I'm nothing but skin and bone. How do I coach myself to do that?
Honestly, you got to eat your oats and do some squats and get a little bit of booty, because if you're just skin and bones, there's really nothing I can do to help you in that one.
Like everybody else in the house, just give it up on me. I get it. Okay, second question. The elephant in the room. We need to address this. I'm sure you've been asked this 1,000 times. But going back to the Jesse vote off, I want to know your thoughts. And I know you're rolling your eyes because you've heard this question 1,000 times. So let's just get it out of the way right now. I know everybody's dying to know this. So... why did you what was your, we know your strategy behind casting the rogue vote, but from your standpoint, do you have any regrets now that you cast that rogue vote?
Okay, so in terms of the reasons why I did it, it's a 50-50. So the first 50% is I told Jesse to trust me and that I was going to be loyal to him. 50% of it was keeping my loyalty, even though everyone else thought I was, lying and unloyal after this. I was actually keeping my loyalty to the first person that I promised it to, and it was Jesse. For the first 3 days, I was telling him, I'm going to vote for you. You're safe. Don't worry. So, and he was so skeptical of me throughout the week that it was almost, I wanted to be in your face, I told you no matter what I would vote for you. You should have fucking listened to me. Even when he got out on the stage or when he got home and watched the episode, I wanted him to be oh my God, she was loyal to me the whole time. So the first 50% was that I told him I was going to vote for him. I told him to trust me, and I wanted to keep my loyalty to him. The other 50% as I wasn't trying to get anyone in particular to look at each other. I was trying to get everyone to look at each other. I was trying to get people to look at Ali because maybe she would have done it, to stir up the house, because obviously everyone would assume she would have voted for Olivia to stay in, not Jesse. So I wanted people to look at Ryan because he likes to stir the pot. I wanted people to look at Kayla because, she was friends with Jesse. I really wanted everyone to just realize that we're not playing summer camp kumbaya in this house, that everybody has to be looked at as a threat. You know what I mean? Everybody is not your best friend. So I really did it to just stir up the house, but it ended up backfiring and getting people to look at me. Regrets? I definitely think that, no matter what, I would be up in the block in a few weeks anyway. I feel like I'd probably 90% of the time always be backdoored. I don't think anyone would have ever given me a chance to fight for myself if they knew what was good for them. But I definitely do believe that the reason I was backdoored last week was because of my rogue vote with Jesse. I think that people knew that I would be a strong ally, but their worry was because I was telling Jesse he was safe all week and then, voted him out, even though none of them actually knew. But they thought, can we really trust being allied with this really strong threat? Because what if she decides to go against us? So it was in terms of people not really trusting me, knowing if they could trust me, and also trusting me if I could be their ally, or would I just be able to get them out the very next week? So they were right about that, but definitely was because of the rogue vote for sure.
Random question: do you hate summer camp? Did you have a bad experience in summer camp? Is that why you're talking about these freaking summer camp people? Summer camp is usually fun for most people. Did you have a bad experience in summer camp?
Summer camp is not Big Brother Canada, okay? Big Brother Canada is fighting and fierceness and competitiveness and scheming and plotting and choosing allies and having their back and really loyalty in that sort of sense, fighting for the 100 grand, fighting for that title. And and I know that a lot of people have said to me, maybe it's it's people's strategy to sort of lay low, but you could still lay low and make big moves, as you would say. You could still lay low and make big moves or choose a side, or you know what I mean? To me, it was just everyone was sitting around talking about their favorite color for 2 weeks, and I'm trying to play the game. So that's what I mean about summer camp. Summer camp's great at summer camp.
Kumbaya gets a little annoying after a while, to be fair.
Yeah, it does. 100%. 100%.
Okay, and the slop, I would argue, is a little bit more disgusting than the mac and cheese that you get at summer camp. So there's another thing.
Luckily, I was only on it for 1 day. It wasn't that
Oh
bad.
my god! You know how long I was on it? You know how long I was on it for?
How long?
5 weeks.
In
5
a row?
weeks, not in a row. Like I did 2 weeks.
Total.
I did 2 weeks back to back, and then I did 2 weeks back to back about a week later, and then I did a week at the very end.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. I think that's like my one.
You feel malnourished. Like what I like to say is, you never feel full.
Yeah.
It's like you never feel full. You're just not starving.
Yeah, yeah. I want to quickly address one other thing, because you did bring Jesse up, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't think that was common knowledge to a lot of people, the fact that you told Jesse that you had his back and that you were going to vote his way. Did you know, I know you haven't had enough time to watch back everything, do you know that I talked to Jesse last week, and Jesse told me that when he found out that you were going to vote for him, he rallied up a couple people. That wasn't necessarily his number one rallying cry when he brought all those people into the room to have that last-minute campaign speech, but he says that when he found that out, I forget who he told it to, but he mentioned that to a couple other people. Were you aware that Jesse blabbed that to a couple people?
I was aware right after the vote, because that's why people were questioning me. I'm like, why is everyone questioning me right now? Like, you know what I mean? I told everyone all week that I was voting him out, just as did everyone else. So I'm like, why am I the target of, attention right now? And it was because people told me, well, Jess was telling me all morning before the vote that he had your vote 100%. And I'm like, but he was telling everybody that he had votes everywhere. So,
right.
I definitely did end up finding that out for sure.
Okay. And did you ever think during that time to say to yourself, well, maybe I should find another way to do damage control here that isn't deny, or did you think that you would get away with it?
There was definitely no way. This is the thing.
Yes, sir.
Hamza, asked me and Will the night before. He's like, "Do you want to throw Jesse a pity vote?"
Right.
And we said no. So I could have right away off the bat been like, "Oh, like a last minute decided to throw him a pity vote." But I think the way that the my house guests in the house minds work, they just wouldn't care. Like they would just automatically assume, "Wow, she's trying to get them to look at me." You know what I mean? Like, yeah, right. It was a pity vote. Like she was just trying. Like they're very. The way that their minds work are nutcases in there. So it never worked. I actually considered I was 100% voting him all week, no matter what I said to anybody. I was giving him that vote. I knew it all week. I was like, I promised him from day one. And even the fact that he was doubting me bugged me so much that it even like made me want to vote for him more, because I just wanted him to be like, I told you shouldn't have like worried about me. But about 10 minutes before the vote, when he called that room meeting and locked me out,
Yep.
that made me so insulted that I was about to not vote for him anymore. I was about to be like, oh yeah, like you want to, not include me in this meeting? Well, F you, then I'm not voting to keep you in the house. But again, it was more of like my pride being like, I told you could trust me. You shouldn't have doubted me. I'm going to vote you in the house because I said I would, sort of thing. But I was close to not voting for him. And I wish, now I wish I didn't. He was leaving the house anyway, and I'm probably here because of it. But what can you do?
Well, speaking of FUs and speaking of meetings, I've seen in my time watching Big Brother some pretty intense house meetings before. A lot of tension, a lot of people sort of in the background grinding their teeth, uneasy about what to say. I have to say, your house meeting, which we only saw about maybe 20-30 seconds of it on the show, on the actual live feeds, it was a good half hour, if not more. First off, congratulations. I think you have the Guinness World Record for most F-bombs in an entire Big Brother house meeting. I think every second or third word was the F-bomb, so if nothing else, you don't have the title of Big Brother Canada, but I think you're going to walk away with that. I don't think there's anybody touching that record for a really long time. Okay, well, what was it about that moment, and what was it about that moment that just ticked you off? And what they really... They do. They can get you in a lot of hot water in a lot of situations, but they definitely have people. They get people's attention. I wish I could do that. I teach kids for a living. I teach drama. I wish I could drop F-bombs like every 2 seconds or so, but I would probably get fired. But it would probably get my point across. So why all the house meetings? Why did you need to get all that stuff off your chest right there, knowing that everything you say is monitored in Big Brother and anything you say can make you a target?
So the first house meeting with Ryan, that was simply that, he was going around to all of the rooms and trying to get the house to flip and send hams out. But realistically, the one of the main reasons Andrew was on the block is because he was trying to flip the house the week before. So I was just like, why does Ryan get to do? And I liked Andrew. He was one of my buddies. So it was like, why does Ryan get to do this and get away with it when Andrew's sitting on the block for that exact reason? And he was going around, and I don't know because I'm in the house, so I can't assume what I know, but he was going around telling everyone they were targets, that their names were brought up, all this. And, we assumed that he was lying to us. So a lot of people wanted to confront him in the house. Will wanted to confront him. Derek wanted to. And I was like, no, this is my time to shine. Mr. friggin' Ryan, that jerk off, called me out last week for lying. I'm like, if there's going to be anyone that does it, I wanted it to be me. So I got my bad bitch braids going on. And, I was remembering quote for quote the things that he was saying. And it was more of like a joke house meeting. And I didn't actually really care to call him out so much in terms of, I wasn't upset with him. It was more that he threw out lines like, it is very hard for me to look someone in the eyes and lie. And, I'm a man of my word and this, that. So I wanted to use the exact same lines to make other people in the house laugh and call him out. And the second house meeting was so much hearsay. Everyone was telling me, Veronica, you're telling people that, you're going to shield them, then who are you going to go after? When I wasn't doing that. I was saying a general statement that people could use me as a shield in the house because I'm one of the biggest targets. But people were going around mixing up my words. So I was like, F that. The only way to clear up all this hearsay and tell everyone, instead of pulling them in different groups and separating them, is call a house meeting. And no one asked me questions. No one in the house was like, were you lying about Jesse? Or, were you telling this to this person? Or no one had the guts to call me out on anything that they were talking about in secret in other rooms. And you know what? To be honest, I loved the attention. I loved the all eyes on me. You know what I mean? I loved the,
You're a Tupac fan? All eyes on me? Is
yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun for me, It was like, I loved sort of, dishing it out and watching none of them have, they all have so much to say about me behind closed doors, but when I give them all an opportunity for the floor, they all just sit there and pick their nose and, scratch their asses, and that's what they did. So it was my sort of last attempt at saying, this is what I'm doing. This is how I am. This is how things are. And after that, I knew if there was no changes, then I'm just doomed, and I can enjoy the last 2 days in the house without having to, blow smoke up anyone's asses anymore.
And you know what? To your credit, there were some people that were actually like stepped up and were like, you know what? We need to keep Veronica in the house because of that speech. Paris was probably one of the most vocal, and it got herself in some hot water that she was wanting to have you stay in the house. One of the things that wasn't addressed too much on the show, or at least we didn't see too much of it in the edited show, but we kind of got a little smidgen of it in your eviction speech, was your relationship with Will. What was it about Will that you guys just clicked, and what do you think are his chances now at this stage?
So what happened when I came into the house, and I wasn't surprised at all. I knew this, I'm very, who the hell is this crazy chick at first glance? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not everyone's Flav. I knew that walking into the house, having the personality that I would, it would get mixed signals, and it did. Everyone was super mean girls when I walked in, especially being a gatecrasher, Before I even had a chance to talk to them, they're like, these are the newbies, we're getting them out, we don't care who this chick is. And it was the Veronica show. For the first minute that I walked into that house, and the girls hated me, very big eye rolls, and they didn't really know. So to me, with Will, he was the first person that gave me the time of day in that house. He was kind and genuine from the very beginning, super sweet to me, and we fed off each other's energy. We were very, our relationship, it's very different than a showman's. A lot of people compare it to a showman's. A showman's is very, as you see Dayla, they're very affectionate, they're cuddly, they're getting to know each other on a personal level, they're super cute. Will and I knew nothing personal about each other. We didn't care. Our relationship was based off of, making fun of each other, annoying each other. We had a very brother-sister, weird sort of relationship in the house that was based off just good times and laughs and memories and craziness. So Will was the only person in the house that always laughed at me, always laughed with me. He thought I was funny. He didn't, you know what I mean? He had no problem with listening to me and watching my crazy antics. He never judged me, and if he did, it was always in the best way possible. And that's the type of relationship we had with each other. It was just super genuine and fun, and very, it made time in the Big Brother house, so enjoyable. And do I think he has a chance now? I definitely was his duo. We were a duo. I was his number one. He was mine. He really thought that, he played it up so that it would get us in trouble. At times he'd be like, Veronica, we need to take a chill pill from each other. And I was just like, fuck it. I don't care if anyone knows that I would take you to final 2. I don't care if anyone knows that I'll fight for you, because I could friggin' win against every single person in this house. So I was very open with our relationship. And now that I'm out of the house, I think that, he's going to be going up soon. I think that people are going to target him. I think he's super liked in the house. However, I think if he was brought to final 2, he would have a really good chance to win. I think he's the most likable guy in the house. He's friends with everybody. But, I don't think he has someone that would fight for him as hard as I would now. I think that people will turn against him, and that sort of worries me.
What's the key to understanding what the hell Will is saying 90% of the time? Because I'll be honest, I've talked with some East Coasters. I have known many a Newfie before. His accent sounds a little bit Newfie, but it also sounds mixed with a whole bunch of other stuff. How many words can you understand when Will speaks, and how many times does he have to repeat himself?
The key is just nod and smile. You don't need to actually understand what he's saying, as long as you could see sort of his facial expressions. You know when he's mad, you know when he's sad, you know when he's happy. So all you gotta do is nod and smile, and just, I make it up. What I mean? He tells me to F off and leave him alone, and I just go, oh, you love me? Oh, that's awesome. So honestly, there's no way to understand what he's saying. I think the longer that you hang out with him, you sort of get the gist of, what he means when he speaks. But honestly, you know, you can't understand what he says, but he looks good doing it. So I just, you know, smile and nod my head every time.
Whatever the hell he's saying, it's working thus far. It's gotten him to this point, so he might as well not abandon ship. If it's a whole act and everything like that, then just keep going on with what he's doing. One of the big things that happened in the double eviction, I want to get your thoughts. Why did you want Hamza to be evicted right after you? They asked you about this in your eviction interview. Why was Hamza the one person you wanted to see, especially given the fact that Erica was the one that backdoored you?
I knew that Hamza was Erica's #1 guy in the house. They were super tight. He was in her room every single night. Every time I would talk to her, he would be running in right after to talk to her. It's like and he did that with everybody. Any progress that I was making with people, Hamza would be going and talking to them right after. And I don't care what it was about. That seemed shady to me. Another thing is that he was telling people, you know, he would go out in the backyard when people would be discussing me and deciding what to do. And he would walk out and be like, V has no votes. She's going home. So it would be like, I'd finally start convincing people that I had votes or that there was hope for me, and he would go out and just shit on all of that, and then be like, "Oh shit, maybe she doesn't have as many votes as I think." Thirdly, you know, he was Marin's right-hand man. You know, like I say to everyone, Hamza was the puppet master. Marin was the puppet. If he didn't have Marin's back, I don't think anyone would, and I think he was truly a helpful deciding factor in who went home. And lastly, him and I were supposed to have an alliance together. It was me, him, and Will. It was me, him, Will, and Johnny. And now I know he had alliances with everybody, you know, him and the boys, him and Erica, this and that. But, you know, regardless, what is the point of an alliance if a person that you like is on the block next to one of your allies and you choose to save them because they're your close friend? The point of an ally is no matter what, if they're on the block, you save them. And the moment his buddy was on the block next to me, it was like our alliance completely went to shit. And because he was being so flip-floppy, that made Derek and Kayla not want to vote for me either. If you know, we had a 5 thing going on. If Hamza was going to vote for me and Will was going to, Derek and Kayla probably would have too. And I found out that he knew about the back door. He knew about it all along. So it's like that dick, you know, he didn't even tell me about it. He was supposed to, you know, have my back. So I knew he loves to plot. He loves to scheme. He loves big moves. I knew he had something to do with it one way or another. So I couldn't wait to see him walk out that door. It was probably the best present an evictee could get, was seeing his ass follow behind me.
So if you had somehow survived that double eviction, you were head of household, your target is Hamza?
No, it would have been Erica.
Okay.
It would have been Erica. Yeah, if I stayed in, you know, at first, when I first got put up on the block, I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm hunting for her. Like, she better be able to get me out of the house, this and that. Then I realized, okay, there are people in the house I have to campaign to who like Erica. So I can't be going around verbally saying I will hunt her out of the house. So I went and I played friends with her. You know, I said, don't worry. One thing you got to know is, you know, if I stay in the house, let's surprise everybody and work together. But no, if I stayed in the house, I would have backdoored her that week if I won HOH, and I would have sent her packing. And everyone would have been on board. A, because everyone is sheep and will do whatever the HOH wants. And B, people know if you keep Erica in the game, you're clearly not going to win. She's the only person that can win comps as of this point, physical ones. She has social relationships with everybody. If she was put on the block and you didn't send her home, it would be crazy.
She is only, I was looking at this, I think she's only like been vulnerable for probably about 5-10 minutes or so, depending on how long that double eviction was. That's insane to me, somebody who is clearly like the white horse leading the pack in front of everybody and nobody's taken a shot. Was it a missed opportunity, do you feel like, for Olivia to not chop her down in that double eviction when she had the opportunity?
I don't think so, mainly because I think Olivia and Erica are very close. So I think that at this point, because based on their relationship, I truly believe, especially because Olivia isn't that strong in physical competitions, I think that right now it's actually smarter for her to keep Erica in, because I think Olivia is probably one of Erica's more closest allies in terms of loyalty. This is just what I know based on the very little that I've seen so far. But it seems that, you know, Olivia was right to get Hamza out because Hamza knew that Olivia was a stronger target and he'd probably still be gunning for her every week. You know, I think that in terms for Olivia's game, it's smarter to keep Erica in. But I think Erica and Will be the two people that if you had in final two, it would be a toss-up because they're both very strong and they also have very good relationships in the house.
Let's talk about the house party which took place after. Booze flowing everywhere. A few people kind of figured there was an HOH coming. How hard was it for you sitting on the sidelines knowing how much you like to party to see that and you not be in there for that?
It was brutal. It was almost like, see you later, Veronica. Let's party now. We got, you know, the friggin' big bad wolf out of the house. You know, it was almost like to spite me. You know what I mean? And then we had Will apparently making out with everybody. So that was, you know, all up on my Twitter. People throwing salt on the wound, you know. And it was crazy. It was like, of course that would happen. You know what I mean? But honestly, I think it was the best case scenario for them. Because I think they honestly, there would have been a lot of regret and sadness in the house once I left. I think it would have sunk in a lot more if they didn't have a chance to party and lift everybody's spirits a bit.
We see Erica basically win the competition by default. Once again, she talks about how she doesn't want to win. She's made too big of a target on her back right now, but she also doesn't want to be a have-not. Was it the right move, do you think, for Erica to win this, given how big of a target she already had going into this, or could she have minimized it by throwing it, do you think?
See, that's, you know, that's a really hard question to ask me because, in my opinion, my goal, if I was still in the house, I would win every competition I could. I don't give a shit if it puts a target on my back. The only way I can guarantee my safety every week is by winning the comps. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you put a target on your back, but if you're winning all the competitions and you know you could win, who cares anyway? In terms of her, I definitely think that she should have thrown it, mainly just because maybe of the back-to-back. I think that, you know, I think the ways that other people's minds work in the house, it does really put a target on her back. But because everyone is sheep, I don't think it would make a difference anyway, because I don't think that they would take a shot at her even if there was a chance right now, because, you know, people are too scared to be the one to make the move.
Well, let's talk about Erica was arguably the first person, well, I guess maybe Hamza the week before that was the first person to pull the trigger on a big move. At this stage, Erica already made a huge move. She's clearly like the front runner for all the competitions moving forward. Is it a good move for Erica to take out a couple of floaters? Is that really gonna make her target any smaller at this point?
No, it's a horrible move. It's a horrible decision. It's so disappointing. You know, Hamza and I were talking about this week, and we were like, are you kidding me? You finally get out two of the bigger. You set the standard. You just got out Veronica and Hamza. Let's build on that momentum. To me, you have Marin, who is clearly looking for a wing to crawl under. He has nobody in the house. He needs someone. You could pull in Marin, and he will be loyal to you to the very end, because I can almost guarantee he would have never done anything except what Hamza wanted until the very end. He would have never been able to pull. He would have never been able to, be persuaded, manipulated. He was loyal to Hamza, and he needed another number two in that house. He could have easily been a vote. You know, he's not the best in physical competitions, but, you know, he could give it what he has. And then there's Ryan, who, you know, can't win a physical competition if his life depended on it. So, yeah, you know, if you need someone to fight for you, it's not that great. But in terms of why wouldn't you bring him to the end? Because you know that there's a good chance that you'd be able to beat him in competitions. To me, I don't think it was good, because I think she's going to get out all the people who need someone. You know what I mean? These are people who need people to want them and to want to have their back. Ryan is constantly, you know, I don't have a third, I'm not in a group of two, so I'm open to it if you want to work with me. He wants someone to just grab him and take them in and never let him go. And with Erica having such a big target, she should be going after all the floaters right now, especially being such a strong player. She should be saying, listen, I need you, you need me, I will protect you. She shouldn't be trying to wheel in everybody else right now, because no matter what they say, they recognize her as a threat. And, you know, I don't think they're loyal. I don't think they can be as loyal as the people who need someone right now, desperately.
Do you think, based on the performance that Ryan gave, and we've seen Ryan not really have the best showing at competitions, even though he's been picked for quite a few in the past few weeks, but we saw him really sort of come to life in that double eviction, get every single question right, and I think he even just got the last question incorrectly, otherwise he would have been ahead of Household. So he clearly showed that he's got a bit of a mental game, that he's got a decent memory, and he also narrowly won that power of veto. Do you think him sort of coming to life in that double eviction made him a bigger target to Erica and some of the other people in the house?
I would say maybe he became a little bit of a bigger target because he clearly shows that what he lacks in physical comps, he makes up for in the mental ones. And, you know, that's the thing is everyone sees Ryan, you know, as, you know, always creeping over the balconies, walking past people and, you know, spying on them, you know, spending a lot more time sitting around and analyzing things. And you realize, like, clearly, you know, he's thinking of things and studying things that we're not. So, yes, I think it made him a little bit of a bigger target, but not by much.
Let's talk about Paris. Paris is somebody who, for my game, has had a bit of a polarizing effect. She seemed to have a lot of really good, close relationships. Is her best move right now, given how much people saw her campaigning for you, given how much people saw how tight she was with Jesse, is her best move right now just to be kind of like a Marin and be like, look, I've had all these people eliminated, like, don't go after me, I'm a number for somebody?
You know, I think it's in Paris's best interest to make a move. I think that if she doesn't sort of stand up, win a comp, or align with someone who's willing to make a big move, that she's going to get just picked off right now. I think that she has what it takes to get to the end. I think she's a very smart girl. I knew it before I knew she was a law student, and before I knew, so, you know, everyone voted her as, you know, the dumbest in the house. I knew that she was smart based on the conversations. She the way she analyzes things and the way she you know, rationalizes things is way better than I did in the game. And I think her best move right now is to, you know, all of her alliances are leaving the house. You know what I mean? So what she's doing right now is she is being that vote for people. Every person, every HOH, Hamza, Erica, she's going, you want to take your shot? Do it. I have your back. But the difference is everyone who has her back in the house is, you know, leaving or switching sides. She has Jesse out of the house. I'm out of the house. Maddie is sort of, you know, swinging in another direction. It seems to be in a, you know, talking about her behind her back. And, you know, then she has Will, who probably is one of her only last loyal people in the house. And even they're on rocky terms right now. So it's like, I think her only way to keep her safety is to get some of these big targets out, or they're going to be coming for her.
Speaking of big targets, it's insane to me that Derek and Kayla, probably the two people that have, it's been common knowledge since the very beginning that they were in a very tight alliance and a showmance and stuff. Why have they not touched the block thus far? Do you think it's just because of fear, or do you think people are like continuously putting it off and are like, well, we can just wait, it's not the right time, it's not the right time? What have Derek and Kayla done to get themselves off the block?
Honestly, you know, people see them as this big threat. Neither of them have shown anything to be a big threat. It's not like they're super smart mentally. It's not like they're super physical. You know, Derek hasn't won a comp. Neither has
Derek was only off by like 300 or so on that numbers thing. To be perfectly candid, that's all he was off by.
Yeah, right. And yeah. So to me, the only threat that they give off is because they're a duo. That's literally it. People know that they're 2 votes. That is it. That is all that the reason is. They're like, you know what I mean? They see them as a threat, but really they've done nothing to show. It's not like they're this big power couple. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't been really doing anything. So really, they're just seen as a threat because they're a showmance. You know, that's the way I told you the nutcases in the house. That's the way they think is, oh, they're a showmance, they're a threat. So I think that they will literally float their way to the end because people are too afraid to put them up, or they're using them as a shield right now. That's everyone's, let's use them as a shield because everyone is going to think the showmance is a big deal. Once they're out, who are we going to have? But in my opinion, the best way to do it is to split them up, because this way they won't have anyone and they'll need to pick a side. Right now, it's like you have Kayla and Derek who are going to vote the same way, either which way. You know, it's harder to persuade them, but if you throw out their closest ally in the house, they're going to need to finally pick a side, and if you play your cards right, you could pull them into your alliance. So I think that they're going to float their way to the end for absolutely no reason.
Is their best move to align with the other pairs that we're at least seeing on the edited TV show, and that's Olivia and Ali? Should those two pairs just be like, yo, we're pairs, it only makes sense for us to team up? Because we see it quite often in Big Brother where pairs want to take each other out, and strong people want to take each other out because it's like an alpha male thing or an alpha female thing. Is their best bet for Olivia and Ali and Derek and Kayla just to say, let's join up, there's no point in us going at each other?
In my opinion, I think just because of what they have said and the sort of, what they've portrayed since the very beginning, if I was Kayla and Derek, I would never align with Ali and Olivia. It was their biggest target from the get-go. Their names were out of Ali and Olivia's mouth since the first week. I would be like, no matter how much we work with them right now, eventually they're going to turn against us. So I would not let them have that chance. I would be gunning for them, right off the bat. That's my opinion. I don't think they should work together. I think, there are some people that, you can, that throw your name out there in the game, and eventually you could say, actually, we're stronger together. Let's fight this together. I don't think that's Olivia and Ali's motives. I think no matter what, they would always be working against them, and they would always be using Dela. And I think as soon as they felt the time was right, they would throw them under the bus. So if I was Dela, I would be targeting them right away.
What was it about? Because I think originally Olivia, who was HOH during the double, was talking about throwing Maddie up. Why was just Johnny's words and coming at her so scary to her to not put Maddie up? Because Maddie's name has been floated around quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. So did Olivia miss an opportunity to take out somebody like Maddie?
I think that Olivia feels very vulnerable right now. I feel that she doesn't, regardless of who she thinks is on her side, I don't think she feels that she truly has the pull and the amount of allies she needs. And Johnny is more of a threat. He is the only guy other than Hamza that has won any competitions. He's a very liked guy in the house. He comes off as a closed book, but he's super smart. He has a lot going on up there. So I think the reason that Olivia didn't take her out is she knows that Johnny and Maddie are close. And if she keeps Maddie in the game, Maddie right now is floating enough that she is one of the people she's one of the sheep. Maddie is one of the people that is going with the house. So I think that Olivia knew, if I don't put her on the block, she will feel in debt to me. Just like she was in debt to Erica, right? Maddie was all gung-ho to get me to vote for her instead of Marin when they were on the block, because, we had it 4 and we were the white room and this and that. But the moment that Erica took her off, she felt in debt to her. So I think Olivia knew that if I don't put Maddie on the block, not only will I have Johnny's vote, I'll have Maddie's, and Maddie will feel like she owes her in one way for saving her.
Am I the only one who saw how aggressive Johnny was towards Olivia and was like, wow, okay, you're like really tight with Maddie and no one else? Because I was debating this with Cameron and McRae on a podcast last week that was a horrible move for Johnny, but it doesn't seem to have had any effect on Johnny. Do you think it was necessary for Johnny to come out that hard and aggressive to defend Maddie?
You know what? Johnny's an emotional, chaotic mess. You know what I mean? To me, I think, he's very, spastic. You know what I mean? Like, he spazzes a lot, and he just has these, very high ups and downs of emotions. And I don't think that, I think that he could freak out about anything, and people just think, holy shit, he's so sensitive. You know what I mean? So I think that, obviously, it wasn't good for his game when people like you and I sort of notice, okay, he's defending someone, you know what I mean? And Maddie and Johnny are clearly close. Even when I was in the house, Maddie was always laughing at his jokes. They were super tight. They were always together. I knew that Johnny was Maddie's best friend. Maddie was Johnny's girl best friend in the house. I knew that already. But I think because of sort of the chaotic spaz attack that Johnny makes himself out to be since the very beginning. I think that people just saw him as being his, over emotional, sensitive self, and less of, oh wow, maybe this is his strongest ally.
Do you think, though, that even despite how emotional he can be, that he's in the best spot right now? Because I'm looking at all the different people. I'm like, well, who's going to be targeted in the near future? Who needs to win out? Who can, afford to not win a competition down the stretch? Who will have somebody who has their back? And it seemed for me to all come back to Johnny. Am I wrong in thinking that Johnny's in the best spot right now?
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. I think that Johnny is playing a perfect game. It would be different, for example, with me and my, crazy, loud self. If I'm sitting on the couch and I'm quiet, I have house guests coming up to me like, what's wrong? What are you thinking? What's on your mind? This and that. But Johnny has been this sort of, weirdo, quiet, standoffish, he stands and stares at the sky for 20 minutes at a time, and so people don't question him when he gets in certain moods. He could sit there and just listen and watch and think and plot and scheme, and because he's very good at keeping things to himself, he doesn't seem like that big of a threat to some people. As to other people like me, I'm thinking, wow, he could be a threat because he is just, flying under the radar right now. But I definitely think I think everything that he's doing right now is good. I think that he has the perfect sort of, his personality and how he's been playing the game is working for him, so.
I want to get to some live feed stuff, so if you're tuning in and you don't want to find out what is going to be happening in the next couple days when the edited TV show comes on, feel free to tune out right now. If you want to hear some of the stuff going on live feeds, we'll talk about that right now. If some people are leaving, reminder, I'm going to have Hamza live with me on Sunday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, so stay tuned for that. I'm sure Hamza will have a lot to say. So let's get into some live feed stuff right now, Veronica. We know that Marin and Ryan were nominated for eviction. Johnny wins the power of veto. Johnny chooses to not use the power of veto, despite the fact that we saw him doing some campaigning to try to lobby to get either Ali or Olivia on the block. Was it a missed opportunity for Johnny to try to take somebody out who was strong like an Olivia or an Ali?
Absolutely. Abso-friggin-lutely. And also, I hate that he's even campaigning to get one of them out, because when I was campaigning to stay, his big thing was, I'm afraid you're going to go after Ali and Olivia. You know what I mean? That was one of the reasons why he didn't want to keep me in the game, is because to them, those were his two allies, and he thought I was going to hunt them out, which I would have. But now, of course, a week later, when I'm out of the house, he's trying to get them out of the house now, so it blows my frickin' mind. But that's a whole other story. I think he definitely missed an opportunity there to get one of the bigger targets out, because, like I said, they are sheep in the house. They want to make the moves, but they won't make the move. And if you had Marin or Olivia or Ryan or Ali on the block, there is no way in hell anyone would choose to campaign or choose to keep Ali or Olivia. They all have it in them. In their minds, they know what is the best choice. Just no one is afraid to take the shot.
Who in your mind right now, given the house, Marin and Ryan are up on the block. It seems really close, but who is going to be saying "bye, bitch" on Thursday?
Ooh, in my opinion,
yeah.
I think Ryan is going to be saying "bye, bitches," and you know what? He would be my choice to go. I think that they're both a waste of an evictee. But like I said, whoever chooses to keep Marin, he will be in debt until the end of the game. If I told Marin, if he was on the block and I said, Marin, I'm keeping you no matter what, he is a very loyal guy, and he will remember that, and he will have your back to the very end. Ryan, on the other hand, he's smarter. He will choose to do whatever that's best for his game, even if the target, or even if the people that put him on the block try to vote him out. He's the type of guy that if he knew it was best for his game, he would go towards whoever it is. Marin, on the other hand, he's a lone wolf. You know what I mean? He needs someone to be loyal to. I think that he is the best decision to keep in the house, and I really hope he is.
Do you think
one
that
of us newbies has to win?
do you think that well, technically you guys are all newbies because you guys have all played the game for the first time, but I get where you're coming from. Do you think that Marin has a case at this point if he continuously gets put up on the block? Does he have an argument to win the game if he makes it to the end and was constantly put up week after week?
Absolutely. Like, you know, being on the block is super stressful. You know what I mean? And it's a friggin' toss-up because especially when you don't have the opportunity to fight for yourself, whether it's not being able to play in the veto or just losing, you really have to depend on everyone else. So for you to be able to be on the block, I think this is 3 times now that he's been on the block back-to-back, you know, in terms with me, then the double, you know, and then now I think that he definitely has a good case. You know what I mean? It's an incredible thing to do, and it's like friggin', you know, it's a mental stressor. You know, he's probably going to be insane by the end of this.
Last question for you, Veronica. Who do you want to see win the game?
I want to see my number 1, my numero uno. I want to see Will Kenny take it home. I think that, you know, he's the most deserving. I think that he's a great dad. I think that he can really use the money. And if I could see anyone at the end and not be bitter about it, it would be my number 1, Will.
Given the opportunity, would you do the show again, and would you do anything differently?
Hell yeah! I want to be back in the house right now. I want to do it every single season. You know, I truly believe that if I was given the chance to fight for my life, I would not be out here right now. I would be in that house, and I would be picking them off, all those little lambs in there. I would absolutely do it again. I think that the only thing that I would do differently, now that everyone knows, you know, even though I only played in 1 comp, I think people sort of know the physical capabilities I have that I could win. I think that I would have to just play that game. And I would still, you know, be my true self, crazy, wild, you know what I mean? But I think that I would be very more closed off in terms of who my allies were. And I would also take a bit more time in choosing them. You know, right from the very beginning, you know, and it was just natural. You know, I would talk to someone, like them, trust them, want to work with them. Then I'd talk to someone else, trust them, like them, want to work with them. I think I would let people come to me. In that sense, I think I would be a little bit more of a social wallflower just in terms of the game. And, you know, that would allow me to build a bit more truer, authentic relationships and not give them the opportunity to say, well, you're working with everybody, so how can we trust you? So I would have done that differently, but I still would have been my crazy, twerking, swearing, house meeting self. But I probably would have like chilled out a little bit more on the alliances, on the ally talk. Would
you have thrown in any rugby moves and scrummed it up with some people?
Absolutely. I don't know if you saw me in that box, but, you know, there was no one getting in my way. You know, I watched that episode and, you know, you hear Olivia saying she's going to get in my way. Well, let me tell you this. There was no one getting in my way in that box. You know what I mean? I was booming through people. And definitely if I had a chance to play in any more physical competitions, I'd be blowing them out of the water. So,
random question. What position did you play when you were, when you play rugby? What position are you?
I'm a fullback. So I am essentially the goalie of the field. You know, there's a defense and there's my defense and the team sort of battles back with them. But the moment someone breaks through my defense, I'm the only one there to stop them.
Okay.
So I'm huge on one-on-one tackles. I'm that person that goes, not today, bitch, when, you know, you get through the defense. So that's my very, very intense, very aggressive.
That's good. I knew absolutely nothing, but I did do a little bit of research on rugby before doing this show because I was curious about this because there's a couple of people in the house that are rugby players, and we always had the fun little ha-ha joke about like, oh, are you the hooker for the team when you play?
I've heard that before.
Yeah, right. A hooker is, in fact, somebody who hooks the ball back with their foot during a scrum, right? That's the official title of what a rugby hooker is. Not a hooker. That's a whole different ball game.
On the fields, you know, that's all saved for after.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Veronica. I just want to tell you that you were absolutely amazing to watch on the show. I'm bummed that you're out at this point because you were giving us so much excitement and intensity, and I think it's been lacking at least over the last week or so. So hopefully things pick up with that. For people who want to find out what the big bad wolf is doing in and around the nation's capital, how can they follow Veronica Doherty?
They can follow me on everything and anything. You know, I love to be reached out to. The fans are truly what is making this transition so easy. So,
have you gotten to 2,000 yet for Twitter?
I don't think so. I think I'm almost there.
Help them out, people.
Everyone, yeah, help me out. Let me get to 2K. That would make my day. But yeah, so my Twitter is BBCAN Veronica. My Instagram is also BBCAN Veronica, and I also have a Facebook fan page. I love the messages. I love the crazy posts. Keep me up to date with all the shout outs from Will. They literally make my day, and I can't wait to talk to everybody on the outside.
And if you guys like what you saw, give me a thumbs up in the chat on YouTube. You guys can follow along for my next podcast. I have all the details up at Joel BBCAN. You can follow me on Facebook as well, Joel Lefebvre, and on Instagram, Joel BBCAN4. That's going to do it for another edition of Random Thoughts. My thanks again to Veronica Doherty for joining us. And stay tuned Sunday, guys. I will have Hamza Hatoum in the house to talk BBCAN6. That's going to be at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 o'clock Pacific. Stay tuned for that. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. Toodles!